If I were the devil, if I were the prince of darkness, I'd want to engulf the whole world in darkness, and I'd have a third of its real estate and 4/5 of its population, but I wouldn't be happy until I had seized the ripest apple on the tree. So I'd set about, however necessary, to take over the United States. I'd subvert the churches first. I'd begin with a campaign of whispers. With the wisdom of a serpent, I would whisper to you as I whispered to Eve, do as you please. To the young, I would whisper that the Bible is a myth. I would convince them that man created God instead of the other way around. I would confide that what's bad is good and what's good is square. And then I'd get organized. I'd educate authors in how to make lurid literature exciting so that anything else would appear dull and uninteresting. I'd peddle narcotics to whom I could. I'd tranquilize the rest with pills. If I were the devil, I'd soon have families at war with themselves, churches at war with themselves, and nations at war with themselves, until each in its turn was consumed. And I'd have mesmerizing media fanning the flames. If I were the devil, I would encourage schools to refine young intellects, but neglect to discipline emotions. Just let those run wild. Until before you knew it, you'd have to have drug-sniffing dogs and metal detectors at every schoolhouse door. Within a decade, I'd have prisons overflowing. I'd have judges promoting pornography.
We're talking about 8-year-olds and 9-year-olds and 11-year-olds and 12-year-olds. He's got over 600 images, gobs of video footage of these children. But you say this does not signal a heinous or egregious child pornography offense. And then you went on to say the defendant was merely trying to satisfy his curiosity. That's somehow a reason to only give him 3 months. Help me understand this.
Soon I could evict God from the courthouse, then from the schoolhouse, and then from the houses of Congress. I would lure priests and pastors into misusing boys and girls and church money. If I were the devil, I'd take from those who have and give to those who want it until I had killed the incentive of the ambitious. I would caution against extremes.
Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic.
I would convince the young that marriage is old-fashioned, that swinging is more fun, that what you see on TV is the way to be. In other words, if I were the devil, I'd just keep right on doing what he's doing. Paul Harvey. Good day.
What went through your mind when you first heard she was going to resign on January 5th?
You know what? Honestly, I was like, you've got to be kidding me. You're on the other side of the president for 1 week and you can't take the heat. Imagine what it is to sit in my shoes, to not only be on the opposite side of him, but to have people like her who are constantly fanning the flames of hate. And imagine what those threats look like when you literally are someone like me. But at the end of the day, I know that I serve the people of Texas 30. And so my job isn't to be there and necessarily do whatever is going to make the president not be on my back, but instead is to focus on making sure that I can push forward with policies that are positive for Texas 30.
That was Representative Jasmine Crockett speaking out in light of Marjorie Taylor Greene's decision to resign after her blow-up with Donald Trump. To Crockett's point of what it's like to work in politics in 2025, I feel like I can speak to this issue with some small degree of authority. I feel less safe than I ever have. I get more threats, more insults, more hate than I ever have. And I'm a straight white guy who lives in California. I cannot imagine for a minute what it would be like to live in Jasmine Crockett's shoes, to be a black woman in Texas who constantly gets attacked by the President of the United States. I can say that I don't imagine that it would be easy or fun or especially safe. But that's what she deals with on a daily basis. Trump attacks Jasmine Crockett almost every day. And so it certainly is telling, to her point, that after 1 week of being on the receiving end of Trump's ire, that Greene calls it quits. Again, not to minimize what a week on the receiving end of Trump's ire would feel like, but how Greene feels now is how countless Democrats, including Crockett, feel every day as the result of this lunatic's attacks. And by the way, that lunatic is who Greene herself emboldened for years. It was fine then, but apparently when the leopard-eating faces party comes for your own face, then it's suddenly bad. In fact,
I don't even know where to begin here. I really, truly don't know where to begin. Because Brian Taylor Cohen is a leftist little bitch. That's what he is. Sit there and say that he couldn't imagine what it would be like as a black woman in Texas to have Trump say bad things about her. He couldn't imagine being in her shoes. Yeah, what are you talking about, man? What in the hell are you talking about? Again, it's not real. It truly is not real, what you're saying. Again, but when it comes to Jasmine Crockett and Marjorie Taylor Greene, anything that Trump says about Jasmine Crockett is going to be well received in a good way for her by the voters, by her voters, by the people that support Jasmine Crockett. Because I guarantee you, not one of her supporters voted for her that voted for Trump. I guarantee you. So again, we got to understand, if Trump says something negative about her, she could wear that as a badge of honor. She is getting publicity. And again, they think Trump is Hitler and Trump's evil and Trump's this, Trump's that. So again, if Trump says one thing bad about her and one thing negative about her, again, people, they love it. They love it. They think, well, she is definitely the right one for this job because, again, Trump is attacking her. Actually, I wish Trump wouldn't say anything about her because, again, that lends her power in a way. Because, again, she is getting publicity because he is saying something negative about her. And people on the left, they eat that shit up. So again, I wouldn't say anything bad about her at all. I wouldn't say anything about her. I'd ignore that racist bitch. I would. Trump should. But the fact of the matter is, man, again, Marjorie Taylor Greene is a Republican from Georgia. Most of the people that voted for Marjorie Taylor Greene, pretty much everyone that voted for her, I'm sure voted for Trump as well. And again, they see Trump, and rightfully so, as the leader of the Republican Party. So again, Trump is in power. Trump is over her. So again, if Trump disapproves of her and says so on the air, publicly says, I disapprove of what she is doing, what she is saying. Now, I'm not saying I disapprove or approve myself. But again, if Trump says, I disapprove of her, she is going to lose voters. She is going to lose when it comes to popularity. Do you understand what I'm saying? Now, where Jasmine Crockett is going to gain, she's going to win from that. So again, when you say, that Marjorie Taylor Greene was only under the gun for like a week of Trump, where Jasmine Crockett's been under the gun for years or whatever. Again, that we're not talking about the same thing. Do people not get that? And when it comes to race and everything else, again, the majority of people that voted, that elected Jasmine Crockett, they again disapprove of Trump. So again, she's fine. Again, we have to understand the attacks right now are coming out of the left, not the right. Look at Trump. In the last, year and a half, less than a year and a half, that man's had two attempts on his life that we know about by leftists, by people that, again, the first guy, the guy that shot him in Pennsylvania, Shazier, again, that guy converted. That guy was indoctrinated. That kid, he was indoctrinated by the left. We got to understand that. We also have to understand people like Charlie Kirk. They were shot and killed. They had numerous threats made on his life, shot and killed by an assassin. And this assassin was somebody on the left that was dating a trans person, for God's sakes. Again, we got to understand, man, the violence. Look at what happened with, last night I did a video and I uploaded that today on Nick Fuentes. Nick Fuentes, about a year ago right now, I think it was November of last year. Again, a man showed up at his door with a pistol in one hand and a crossbow in the other. And again, threatened to kill Nick Fuentes and got into a shootout with the cops. And of course, that guy was killed. But again, we got to understand something. The left, they are the ones that are violent. They are the ones making threats. They are the ones carrying things through. I mean, look what's happening with, look what happened with Tesla. I mean, again, setting fires to Tesla dealerships, to cars, bombing stuff, whatever. That is coming out of the left, not the right. Shooting up news stations. That is coming from the left, not the right. Do we understand that? Can we get that for just a minute? That is coming out of the left. I mean, again, how many times did Republicans, did white Republicans, conservative Republicans go after Elon Musk when he had his spat or whatever you want to call it with Trump? None. No Republican went out there and attacked Tesla. None. You know, again, they can have a disagreement, they can argue, they can do whatever. Again, I disapprove of certain things, sure. But they can yell, they can argue, they can say whatever. And nobody went after Elon Musk, not from the right, only from the left. Do we not understand that? Do we not understand the violence that is coming from the left? I mean, again, all you got to do is look at assassination attempts, you know, again, bombings, whatever, things being set on fire, protest that turns violent. That, again, is coming from the left, not the right. I mean, again, look at Joe Biden. Joe Biden stood up there, addressed the nation a couple of years back. I did a video on this too. He addressed the nation with a dark red background and said that white people, white supremacy was the biggest threat to this country. MAGA, Trump supporters were the biggest threat to this country. I don't know how many times politicians, actual politicians, have called Trump a Nazi and said his supporters are Nazis. Over and over and over again. They're Hitler, whatever. And again, they have gone after MAGA. They have gone after Trump. The president of the United States, Joe Biden, a few years back, went after Trump in that way. Again, they went after Trump as far as impeachment. Twice, they seriously talked about invoking the 25th Amendment and taking him out of office. That's what they were wanting to do. But again, we saw it with Joe Biden. This man, again, stumbling, mumbling, whatever, Joe Biden, that could not put his thoughts together. This man, again, no 25th Amendment. Again, removing him from office would have been wrong, they said. You know, again, so we got to look at what's coming out of left. Darkness, absolute darkness, hate, violence. Again, they whip people up to a frenzy. We got to understand that's coming out of the left, not the right. So again, this whole idea about Jasmine Crockett being a poor little black girl victim from Texas, again, because she's black and she lives in Republican Texas and whatever. Again, spare me. Spare me. You know, the ones that are actually threatened, the ones that are actually in fear or should be in fear in some ways of their life are anyone on the left that has a big enough platform. Trump, Charlie Kirk, Nick Fuentes, I mean, pretty much anyone. Benny Johnson, pretty much anyone when it comes to news or when it comes to anything political on the right. They have been credibly threatened. Matt Walsh, again, credibly threatened. But not Jasmine Crockett. Not once. But if you guys would, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. Thanks.